3D printed parts are different between the top and the sides. At the side, you're dealing with resolutions about as thick as a human hair, but on top you're dealing with something about as thick as a mechanical pencil. In this video, we'll discuss how to design holes in the top of 3D printed parts, so they maintain tight tolerances and create clean and reliable parts every time. Solutions ranging from simple threading to making holes that actually change size. Alright, so if we're going to talk about the holes on the top of any 3D printed part, let's just start with the baselines at first of just good design. Obviously we're working with cubes here, and of course if you're designing a cube, the first layer of any part right here should be chamfered so that you don't have to deal with elephant footing, and then any of the vertical edges right here should be filleted in order to make sure that you do not have any sharp edges that have to try to become infinitely sharp when the nozzle is already round. So you round out those edges, chamfer the bottom, and in this case for all of these bricks we've actually applied fuzzy skin to the outside so that this wonderful texture is available and shows you how to make a very low resolution part. This is printed at about 0.2 resolution, basically makes the layer lines disappear. And then on top, in order to have the bottom and the top match, we're using a custom pattern up here that is available for most teleport printed parts. Alright, if you're looking at standard holes, we have 4 holes around the outer side in various sizes, and then a core center hole that we'll be looking at. If you're designing holes normally, many people will just go ahead and plunge a hole directly into the part. And that ends up with the issue of having these outer walls appear at the circumference of each one of these holes, which often do not bond very well. So you don't generally want to just cut a hole in there as a perfect Boolean cylinder that's removed. You instead actually want to have the hole blend into the rest of the part. Looking at number 2 right here, you can see what that looks like when it is fillets, fresh off the machine. The fillets help to blend the outer edges into the rest of the part so that you have better interface with the top. Compared to the original here, you can sometimes see these little bleed areas right here, these tiny little dots, where there's just doesn't seem to be as much connectivity with the outer edge. Fillets can help with that. And right here you can see we have a 1mm fillet on all of these. It also helps to prevent holes from potentially being closed up. If you're using very, very small holes, this one is about a 1mm hole, then you can sometimes have blending where they just get closed up and sealed up. Adding the fillets makes sure that there's no side purging from the top surface if you're doing something like ironing or other sorts of features. It just gives a little bit of space between this top surface and the outer border of the hole. But of course the very best option always is to just use chamfers. Chamfers are crisp, they are clear, they have a consistent layer pattern all the way up, whereas fillets kind of vary as they start to curve over and break. You have more prominent layer lines. Chamfers are always very consistent, very reliable, and very predictable. So you get these really nice crisp top surfaces where the holes have a lead in, and it can also serve as just a nice finding feature for whatever you happen to be pressing into this hole, which is very nice. Now, of course, not all holes are going to be flush with the top. You might want to have them inset. Doing insets like these countersinks, are very easy to do, and of course 3D printing lets you create them very quickly and affordably, and you can do them however you want to, so that the cap of some screw can sink into the top here as it's going into its hole. That way the entire top surface ends up being flush. And again, apply small chamfers or fillets to the top in order to make sure everything is crisp, but these can really help delineate these holes and make sure that the caps do not create a proud surface on the top of the part. Now, all of these holes may be well and good, but maybe you want a hole to be reinforced. You might be adding in heat sinks, or you may be just wanting more bite available, which means that you need more material inside of these holes. There's a number of different ways of thickening and strengthening a hole without needing to rely on slicer settings like thick walls or higher infill localized around these areas. You can actually do it inside of CAD. One of the simplest ways of reinforcing a hole is to just simply create wrinkles around the outer edge. What we have done here is thickened the wall by the amount of the wrinkle, because now you have all of this outer depth that you otherwise didn't have by forcing the nozzle to follow the wrinkles of this outer profile. That is a very simple solution where you just create a single cutout and then rotate it around the circumference of the hole. Another option that is perfectly reasonable is to use threads as a strengthening feature. Right here you can see the various types of threaded holes, but you also see the danger with threads. When having threads go into the top of the part, you have the resolution of the layers on the side. So these threads are actually fairly findable inside of each of these holes, but if you ever go down to a hole or a thread size that is smaller than a 1mm diameter screw, you're probably going to lose your thread threads, but they can still serve a purpose because, again, creating the wrinkles in the vertical along the hole rather than along the circumference, you are able to create that same amount of strength. So threaded holes can be a really good option for improving the strength of holes and just providing more material for something to bite into. Threaded holes are often very good for heat set inserts and, of course, for a screw to just go straight into there. Though sometimes you don't want the hole to be reinforced, you actually want the hole to be weakened. If you have a solid cylindrical hole there and you place in a screw that has a very tight tolerance to where the screw is a bit larger than the hole, this is when you may want to give up some space so that the screw can dig in and bite into the hole without spreading and breaking it apart. This is what these small little proud features are. Instead of subtracting a cylinder from the outer edge, you're actually adding one on, so that as the threads of the screw go into this hole, they end up biting into just these heightened areas. That way the screw is able to enter in. It still has good purchase on the overall part, but it doesn't have to spread apart a perfect cylinder that is just the elasticity of the material itself, which can end up with cracking. These types of relief features allow everything to interface really well, fit really well, and you don't have to worry about anything breaking or cracks propagating. In that same vein, you may just want the hole to change size. Right here, these are effectively consumable teeth where the screw bites into them, but you can have the hole actually change size. By putting these relief cuts on either edge of it, you can have that hole actually spread so that you can have very tight fitting fasteners or other components go into this hole that otherwise wouldn't be able to fit into it, so that you have just a little bit of relief and a little bit of give with whatever is inserted in there. And you can vary the size because it might have different necessities where you just want to make sure it's clear, or maybe you just want it more hidden than what you would normally do so that contamination or other things can't get into there. These slots can also be useful as just entry points. So if you are inserting a rod into this that then goes into a larger assembly, these can be access points for things like grease and oil, but also dust and dirt. So if you're looking for the maintainability, make sure that you're also dealing with the surfaceability and the problems that creates. But you just want the hole to be as strong as possible. You want as much material around this hole as you can possibly get. Now, the easy solution is always to add more walls, but adding more walls is generally kind of a false direction, because if you were dealing with this inside of the slicer, number one, you need to have full control of that slicer and ensure that all profile settings are appropriately transferred. But the other issue is that if you want just this hole to have thick walls, you would have to apply them to effectively the entire top area. It's very tough to control or localize to an individual wall. A better way of doing it is to just CAD in walls like this. So with this model, which is number 10 there, you can see that there are multiple holes around the outer edge. Each one of these holes is 2 millimeters from the outer wall of the hole. Why 2 millimeters? Because most walls are 1 millimeter wide. So if you put them 2 millimeters wide, you end up with a 2 millimeter thick wall around this hole. This is exceptionally useful when using print services or selling on print marketplaces like Portals, where you can just upload a model and in 30 seconds be selling it. You want to make sure that customers are getting the part that you designed with all the functionality that you wanted from it. So designing in CAD features can be a more robust way of doing it, because whether I scale this up or scale it down, it will always still function regardless of material. Those walls will always still be present and still be strong, and you can make sure that the parts that you send out are exactly what you intended without having to worry about translation between printers, machines, nozzle sizes, or anything else. This ensures that the part is the same part regardless of who, how, or where it's made. This is really important because you may want to start up a 3D printing business. And like I say, you can do this over at Portals, which is teleportpod.com/portals. Portals, you can upload a 3D model and instantly be selling prints in about 30 seconds. When the customer orders from you, it'll be printed and shipped directly to them. You do not have to deal with sales tax. You do not have to set up an Etsy store. You do not have to set up a Shopify. You can just go ahead and create awesome stuff and upload it. Great YouTubers like Luke Edwin have already uploaded products like their photography gadgets so that they can keep on selling them and designing cool things without having to worry about all the back end. So check out Portals today if you wanted to start selling prints. You can just upload a model and be selling in 30 seconds without having to build a whole website or deal with all the packing and shipping on the back end. You sell the thing and then it's printed and shipped to the customer for you. Check it out again over at teleportpod.com/portals, link down in the description. So this is an awesome way to reinforce the hole, but you might not want these things poking out the top because you can see it changes the pattern a little bit there, and if we weren't using this nice top pattern for hiding it, it would have been more prevalent. But if you want to, you can just go ahead and put those a millimeter or two down into the part so that there is no overflow and you do not see it at all, but those functions and those thicker walls are still present inside of the part. 1 millimeter deep, just start the holes and the cuts down there. A mistake that people often make with micro features is to kind of take the lazy way out. In order to get the thick walls, just go ahead and draw a circle around here, and then it's 2 millimeters out, so you have 1 millimeter wall, 1 millimeter walls, so you get the thick walls. But the problem is that you have now isolated it from the rest of the part, so you've actually made it weaker, because this cylinder is so separated that it could be snapped off or broken if it was ever put under much load. So while you do induce thicker walls, you end up creating a weaker point down in the center here. So always make sure that when doing micro features, that you make sure that the outer part of the part is able to bond with whatever the interior part is. If you fully isolate it like this, you can end up with all sorts of problems. But that can sometimes be an advantage. Maybe you do want that relief and separation from the rest of it. If you take this and then just make a couple of strategic cuts, then you end up with something like this. What we have done is we've transferred this rigid hole that was trying to be as strong as possible into a compliant hole that is now effectively a clasp. What we did is we cut the cylinder as we normally do, but then left this material here and made a secondary cut up here so that it's separated and you're free. And then down at the bottom, underneath all of it, we cut a large cylinder that is 0.3 millimeters distant so that you don't need support or anything inside of there. And now this hole will kind of adjust and change sizes to the item inside of it. So you have a relief feature. This can be very useful if you're wanting snap fits and other sorts of functions like that. It can be terribly, terribly useful. But you might want something more rigid because this is kind of a weak version of the snap fit. So let's actually evolve it all the way and instead get to right here. These are called grip fins, which are small compliant fins that are able to bend just a little bit like this. What you do with these is basically cut out a slot and then create a circular pattern all the way around the top. These do reinforce the hole because again, you have all this thick wall out here, but at the very tip, you have just a little bit of compliance. So if you're looking for a hole with very high, tight tolerances, this can be a great way to do it because you're able to adjust the 0.1 to 0.2 millimeters that you need to make sure that everything always fits when dealing with some of the shrink problems with 3D printed parts. Again, a really good way to make a part that's really robust and will always come out the way you intended. Now, these small fins flex quite a bit because you're dealing with the flexibility of the material. If you want them to be more rigid and don't want as much pliability, you can just reduce the number of fins, reduce the number of cuts, and now you have something that is very solid and very rigid, but still gives enough that it's fine. So you could use this actually as a threaded hole. These also, again, work for heat set inserts to where they can go in very quickly and then you don't have a large amount of material pressed down behind the heat insert. But again, just design those holes well, make sure they're the correct tolerance, the correct dimension for the heat set insert that you're putting in, generally not a problem. And again, at the bottom of these fins, cut out a cylinder underneath to make sure that they are free to move on both sides. Though sometimes people leave those in order to make sure that it gets tighter and tighter the further the part goes in. And that is how you design holes, guys, in the top of 3D printed parts. This is a really important skill to have because designing for each component of a 3D printed part lets you get the most out of it. Many people believe that 3D printed parts are somehow worse, but they're not. They're simply different. It's like saying that a car is worse than a horse because it can't walk over a tree stump. But for some reason, cars seem to be pretty useful. So when designing for the new cars that we have available now for manufacturing parts, make sure that you understand the design for manufacturing that's available, and then you can get basically whatever you want out of it. Have a great day, everybody.